Our speaker today will speak on the topic entitled Bringing Didipio into Production and Growth Plans for OceanaGold in Southeast Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and join me give a warm welcome to the Managing Director and CEO of OceanaGold Corporation, Mr. Mick Wilkes.
Thank you, Leo, and thank you for that fantastic introduction. It's a great honour to be here presenting to the Philippines Mining Club. I'd like to welcome Ambassador Bill Tweedy to the Chamber's luncheon today. And it's great to see so many people here supporting the Chamber because, as we all know, a strong mining industry is heavily dependent on the strength of support that it gets from its chamber. And the future of this mining industry in the Philippines is heavily dependent on the strength and the representation that the chamber can make in the political and social arena in the Philippines. I'd just like to welcome Ambassador Delia Albert, who just arrived. Thank you for coming, Ambassador. Leo gave you my background, and I appreciate those kind words, Leo. But I guess I should give you some context about why I am here. I am a mining engineer. I've worked 10 years in Papua New Guinea, jumping out of helicopters, walking up creeks and rivers, doing feasibility studies and landowner agreements over many years. I went to Laos and built the Sepon copper gold mine, which was Laos' first international standard mining operation and now represents over 10% of the GDP of that country. I then went to South Australia in the deserts near Kupapiti and did a similar thing and focused on Indigenous employment and engagement and set new standards there. I guess what I'm trying to say to you is my passion is social and economic development through mining. That's what I do. And when the opportunity came up for this position, I grabbed it with both hands. Oh, thanks, Eddie. To the right. Yep. So the usual cautionary note, which I know you can't read, but I have to put it up there. So the agenda for today is to bring about Didipio. I think everybody in this room would know about Didipio in some way or another. Talk about bringing it into production and the benefits that will flow to the Philippines from that. I'll also talk about our exploration opportunities and our growth plans in Southeast Asia. I'll focus on our culture of sustainability, our community engagement and community partnerships, which are so important to successful mining developments. And also I'd like to share with you my vision for an opportunity for the Philippines. The vision of OceanaGold for 2016 is to be a high-performing, growth-oriented Asia-Pacific gold mining company. We want to excel in exploration and development and operation of gold assets in this region in a safe and sustainable and environmentally responsible manner. This vision is shared by all of my managers and staff, and what we want to do is maximise the returns to our shareholders, because that's how you get reinvestment in the business. We also want to be a reputation as a gold producer of choice because good people work for good companies, good businesses work with good companies, good governments work with good companies. We want to be the gold producer of choice that people say, we're happy to have you in our backyard. We want you to build a project for us. We trust you and we want to share in the benefits of your growth. Enablers for us as a company basically the fact that we've been operating in New Zealand for 20 years. We're not a company just starting up with an exploration program. We produce 250,000 ounces of gold a year. from operating mines in New Zealand. We have an 800-strong workforce which is rapidly growing, and we're leveraging off these capabilities in New Zealand to grow our business in Southeast Asia. So a quick snapshot of where we operate. On the South Island of New Zealand, we've got the Macraes open pit mine and the Frasers underground mine down near Dunedin, and the Reefton open pit mine on the west coast north of Christchurch, and also, of course, the Didipio project in northern Luzon. We're the largest gold producer in New Zealand, producing around about 250,000 ounces a year. The Didipio project is in construction at the moment, and it's our flagship for future growth. We have a strong management team, proven track record in development and operating gold mines, and a very extensive history of sustainable development in New Zealand. Just quickly on our operations, I mentioned the Macraes open pit. We have about 5.5 million ounces of gold in resources and in New Zealand, and about 2 million ounces of reserves in New Zealand. We have mine life of about 8 years currently and ongoing exploration. We're the largest employer in the South Island of New Zealand. We enjoy very strong support from local government and local communities, and we're part of the fabric of that economy and that society. And I might just add that if you don't know New Zealand as a miner, it's one of the toughest jurisdictions to operate in on environmental standards. So we successfully operate one of our mines within a nature reserve in New Zealand, working closely with the government and the regulators, and very stringent requirements for operating and developing the mine at Reefton, and doing it very successfully. So I just got to say it can be done, and we have that reputation and experience. So up in Didipio, of course, you all know where it is, in the northern Luzon. It's near the mines of Philex and Lepanto, the very prospective far southeast project at Lepanto. So it's good, historically good mining country. The Didipio project now has a mine life of 16 years, with an annual production of 100,000 ounces of gold and 14,000 tonnes of copper. The reserves, 50 million tonnes. Importantly, Didipio is a high-value deposit. It will produce copper and gold at very low cash costs, which is why, essentially, it's still there. It's worth making the effort to develop this project and reap the benefits for all of the stakeholders. The capital expenditure for Didipio is, as of June 2011, was $185 million, and the total investment to get the project into production is more than $300 million. Now, I know that's not as big as Tampakan, and it's not as big as many projects, but to anyone in this room, that's a lot of money. And it's just an example of how much work, effort and capital is required to bring one project into production. It's also a highly risky business. Everybody who's been in mining knows that it is high risk. And we expect our shareholders to put up that capital to build projects against that risk profile. One way to mitigate against that risk in political terms, of course, is that you need a good mining law, you need good mining policy in the country. It's the subject of a lot of debate here in the Philippines at the moment. And as an investor, you need to make sure that you have secure tenure. And what we have at Didipio is an FTAA, which of course many of you are familiar with, which is a contract between us, OceanaGold, and the government. And that contract is bound by international law. And that gives us the confidence, that gives our board the confidence, and our shareholders the confidence that we can go ahead and develop and invest the capital to develop this mine. A little bit of technical detail. It's an open pit mine and an underground mine. The mining open pit operations started in January of this year, just last month. The construction camp and all the infrastructure for the project is nearing completion. We've got concrete going in, we've got steel going up at the moment. We've got over 750 people working on site, and more than 50% of the workforce is from the Didipio itself. So, like many of you understand, this is about social licence. This is maximising employment opportunities for our local community, and we have a preferential employment policy which radiates out from the mine such that the people closest to the operation will benefit the most because they are impacted the most. 35% of our workforce live and reside are billeted to the local community who are renting their rooms and houses out for some of our people, which is a good measure for me about whether we have our social licence or not. All of the contractors that work for OceanaGold at the Didipio are Filipino contractors, and we've only got 20 foreign employees on the site, on the project. The schedule, we are on schedule for the completion of construction and commissioning this year. We are still building the operations village. We've started the mining infrastructure. We've commenced the construction of the tailings storage facility and other infrastructure and the process plant. We're about 30% complete. The biggest risk for us, I'm proud to say, the biggest risk for us right now is weather. I can't do anything about that, but I can do something about everything else. So we're in a really good place. Now, just talking about the financial benefits of Didipio to the Philippines. These are, as prescribed, under the FTAA, under the contract with the government. There will be $400 to $500 million of taxes and royalties that will go to the state, the province and the people of the Philippines from the development of this one mine. Our FTAA says that 60% of the net revenues, that's after operating costs and after the recovery of all capital over a 5-year period, will go to government and community. 60% of the net revenue, let me repeat, 60% of the net revenue will go to the people of the Philippines. Our excise duty, 2%, that 60% includes 2% excise duty, 30% income tax, some claim owners' royalty and free carried equity, and also the Social Development Management Plan, which is about $2 million a year. So there are significant financial benefits to the Philippines. The FTAA structure means that our effective tax rate, so the effective benefit that goes from the contractor or developer to the country, is 45%. Now, this is comparable with the highest taxes paid in the mining industry around the world, including the iron ore and coal mines in Australia, which are about the same level. So yes, it's at the high end, but we believe that this is a fair number for our project and our region. The other benefits to the people in the Philippines, obviously employment, 765 people on site, 97% Filipino nationals, 50% from the Didipio region. And our employment targets are dictated by the FTAA, mining and processing professional employed locally wherever possible. 100% skilled and unskilled workers are to be Filipino, and 60% of our professional management positions within a couple of years will be Filipino. There's significant indirect benefits and stimulus for the provinces of Nueva Vizcaya, Quirino and Isabela. So we have a preferential employment policy. It's all part of our corporate social responsibility. We have a philosophy of converting resource capital into human capital. That's fundamentally what mining is about. It's converting what's in the ground to something of value to you and me. It's about making people literate,